Good evening, everyone. So today we are going to start a new lesson, and that is chapter 6, right? Unit 6, and we completed friction lesson last week. That is unit 5. Right? So this is biology. This is the screen now, right? This is the last lesson under first term. Your grade 10 first term to complete until chapter 6 unit. So the sixth lesson biology. Yeah. Now this lesson it's about the cells and the functions of the cell. We are going to discuss about plant cell and the animal cell. Plant cell and animal cell. And you all any organism is made of cells. Any organism is made of cells, either one or more cells. If an organism is made of only one cell, we call them unicellular. If an organism is made of only one cell, we call them unicellular, given under number 1 in your theory table. And if there are more than one cell, we call them multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms. Right. So the first one I have given, the organisms are made of cells. Some organisms are made of only one cell and they are known as unicellular organism. Complete blank first. All the organisms are made of cells. Some organisms are made of only one cell. Underline or highlight, made of only one cell. Organisms are made of cell. So out of them, some organisms are made of only one cell. And they are known as unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms. Unicellular means made of entire organism is one cell. So I have given some examples. You can see amoeba. Amoeba unicellular. Paramecium unicellular. You might have observed them when you are in grade 6 to 9, like some practicals. Euglena unicellular. So all three belongs to one group called protozoa. They all animals but unicellular. If you want to get put an arrow, all three are unicellular animals. So they come under animals. Unicellular. Chlamydomonas also unicellular, but that's an algae. The highlight is green. Actually, Chlamydomonas an algae. Photosynthetic. Bacteria also unicellular. Bacteria, some fungus, they all unicellular. These are unicellular organisms. Unicellular organism is consist of only one cell. And then if the organism is made of more than one cell, but if you take if I take a cell from my neck or leg, act as an organism. That cannot act as an organism. If you take a cell from your body, like one cell separated from your neck, cannot act as an organism. In our body, cells are organized as organs, tissues, systems. Therefore, in multicellular organisms, so cells are organized as tissues, organs. Therefore, they cannot function as one organism. Try to join on time because many students again in the waiting room because the class is now remember this class most probably I'll be continuing from 7 to 9 from this month because of this power cut time and all therefore I think you are familiar with this time now. And last Sunday we started last Saturday paper class for your batch, paper class every Saturday from 7 to 9. Every Saturday from 7 to 9 paper class, theory class every Thursday from 7 to 9. But anyway, if you have any difficulty of joining or network problem or any other issue, you can get the recording also with the name code of the current month. You can send a request. Now, if you take cells, if you take one cell is not visible to our naked eye. One cell is not visible to our naked eye. Therefore, they are made of one cell. Therefore, amoeba, paramecium, euglena, chlamydomonas, bacteria, fungus. So, if they are made of one cell, they are not visible to our naked eye. So, I will put here 1, 2, 3, 4. That means we can observe them under microscope. Since they are seen only under microscope, some of them are also known as microorganisms. Therefore, unicellular organisms are also known as what organisms? Microorganisms. You can write one more name separately for this. They are also called microorganisms. Microorganisms. Microorganisms mostly what come to your head bacteria, fungi, viruses and all, but these also considered as microorganisms since they are not visible to our naked eye. So single cell organisms or unicellular, uni means one. More than one cell we call them multicellular organisms. I think last week also I gave the introduction, but anyway since there are newcomers here, then more than one cell we call them multicellular organisms. Complete the next blank, multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms. Example, you can write plants. So plants are multicellular. Animals also multicellular. Plants more than one cell. So I have given you microorganisms. We call them macroorganisms. So not micro here, macro, right? Plants and animals are also called what organisms? Macroorganisms. Plants, animals. Then and some algae also, not all the algae, some algae multicellular and some fungi also multicellular, not all the fungi. So some fungus unicellular, some fungus multicellular, some algae, example Chlamydomonas, unicellular algae. Can you all please put a stand right separately? Algae can be both unicellular as well as multicellular. There are unicellular algae as well as multicellular algae. One of the best example I have highlighted here, green, Chlamydomonas. I will show you the pictures and the practical video clips also today during the lesson. Chlamydomonas, unicellular algae, photosynthetic, found in water, completely aquatic. Chlamydomonas, photosynthetic, can produce its own food, autotrophic. And under protozoa, euglena also photosynthetic. That also, if you only label separately the photosynthetic organisms. Euglena also photosynthetic, Chlamydomonas also photosynthetic. That means they are autotrophic organisms. They can produce their own food by photosynthesis. Therefore, we call them out of these unicellular organisms given in the list, these two organisms, euglena and Chlamydomonas, right? Photosynthetic. Photosynthetic means they can produce their own food. They have chlorophyll. But the others are heterotrophic. Amoeba heterotrophic, paramecium heterotrophic. They cannot produce their own food. Bacteria heterotrophic, fungus heterotrophic. Right? So algae, all the algae unicellular. So algae also I will highlight green because they have chlorophyll. Algae unicellular or multicellular, they are autotrophic organisms. That also you can write down if you want separately. separately you can put a standard. Everyone should maintain a separate CR book also for additional notes, right? Algae are photosynthetic. Algae photosynthetic or autotrophic, right? Autotrophic. Separately write in your right book. And bacteria, fungi, right? Animals, then bacteria, fungi, they are heterotrophic. Bacteria and fungi, they are heterotrophic. They cannot produce their own food. Heterotrophic means they cannot produce their own food. They are non-photosynthetic. Write down that separately, everyone. Algae are photosynthetic. And one more thing, plants also autotrophic, photosynthetic. Therefore, based on their nutrition also we can group them, right? So therefore, organisms can be classified based on the number of cells, unicellular, multicellular. Organisms can be classified whether they are visible to our naked eye or not. Example, visible to naked eye, macroorganisms. Right? Not visible to our naked eye, microorganisms. When taken as one cell, if you take billions of bacteria, then it's visible to our. Now this also you have to understand. When taken individually, when taken one cell, then it's not visible, we call it microorganism, right? When taken individually, if they are not visible, then we call them microorganisms. Otherwise, if you take large amount of microorganisms, then it's visible, right? You can see the yeast, it's a fungus. Therefore, if taken separately, individually, if they are not visible, we call them microorganisms. So therefore, you can see now the organisms in the world we can classify based on different criteria. So in this lesson itself, you can see what? Made of only one cell, unicellular. More than one cell, multicellular. Visible to our naked eye, not visible to our naked eye, microorganisms. If they can produce their own food, autotrophic organisms. If they cannot produce their own food by photosynthesis, heterotrophic organisms. Based on nutrition, we can classify them. So based on the number of cells, we can classify them. Whether they are visible to our naked eye or not, we can classify them. Therefore, this broad understanding is also very important. So that is the first one. I explained that in detail. Now you have very thorough knowledge about this. How organisms are classified as unicellular and multicellular, and including the examples. Wait, I'll show you. Anyone still copying down? Please raise the hand. Shall I erase this? Number 1 and 2. So after that, we are going to discuss how did they observe these. If they are not visible to our naked eye, how did they observe them? Right? Please, algae, autotrophic or photosynthetic, you can write down that separately. And because I have given this one, you can see. Can you see the picture in the screen? Okay, wait, I'll erase this. So this is Chlamydomonas. You can see chlorophyll present, Chlamydomonas and algae. So you see unicellular algae. Unicellular algae. In single we call it ecocyclic. Unicellular algae. Why green? Chlorophyll present. Unicellular algae. Sometimes in the exam they will never ask you to draw this entire diagram. They can ask label in this. Sometimes they will give the line diagram. You don't get very colorful 4-color diagrams in the oral paper. They can give a line diagram and ask what it is. So you can see there's a hair-like structure. So this hair-like structure, actually this is for their locomotion. That is called flagella. Right? So the Chlamydomonas, unicellular algae. Now Euglena also, you can see what it's not an algae. It's a protozoa. There's a separate group called organism called protozoa. This one also photosynthetic. Both these are photosynthetic. Euglena. Why it's you can see the name also. It's italic. It's scientific name. So this is both these photosynthetic and aquatic. All these are aquatic. All are aquatic. So you can see they have given here unicellular organisms. Right? If you are using microscope, you can observe them. Using microscope, you can observe them. Using microscope, these unicellular organisms you can observe them, especially hair extract, Piduru palkala jale, in other words, right? And you can see this is amoeba. Amoeba also unicellular, single cell organisms. Paramecium also unicellular. So these 4 organisms, unicellular, single cell organisms, and they are not visible to our naked eye. They do all what we are doing. They also grow. They also reproduce. They also sensitivity, excretion, growth, reproduction, respiration, excretion. They do all what we are doing with a single cell. But they don't get heart attack. They don't get lung cancer. They don't get paralyzed. Why? No heart, no lungs, no kidney, no liver. Because the entire organism equal one cell. One cell act as organism. One cell act as organism. Therefore, they have very simple energy requirements, nutrient requirement. They don't need very complex, it's their life is very simple, not like ours. So we maintain this body with lot of effort, right? We can get many diseases, but those unicellular organisms, they do all what we are doing, like as an organism, but they live with minimum requirements. So that way it's easy for them than us. So that's about to have an idea. Actually, this is also your grade 10 textbook, the biology chapter 8. They have given some of these organisms. That's what I just to have a look of on this. How do they, how do they appear, right? Under the light microscope. Now let's move back to the theory route again. Number 3. Did you all finish copying down earlier? I think some of you all. Did you all finish? Anyone still copying down that previous one? Done, right? Okay. Or else you can get the recording, no issues. You can send a request after the class. Right. Next one. For the first time, a scientist called Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke. He is the first person who observed cells under a simple microscope. Robert Hooke. So that name you have to remember for MCQs. A British botanist. Botanist means who is botanist? The scientist who is specialized about plants, called botanist, would be the Vidyatnya. There are scientists, zoologists, botanists, those who are specialized about animals, zoologists, Sattva Vidyatnya. So you can see here, he was a botanist and he observed plant cells, actually, not animals, so the plants. You can see the specimen he has observed also. You can see in this picture, and the microscope, very simple microscope that time, because 16th century, right? So it's long time back. That time the electron microscope, the scanning tunneling microscope, the advanced microscope were not available. Therefore using like a hand lens, in other words like a convex lens, he used convex lens to observe these cork cells. I think you all are familiar with this cork, Kiralab. Sometimes we are for the glass bottles they use in the Ayurvedic shop and all. It's float on water also. In single we call it Kiralab or something, Kiralamudi or something. There's a wooden lid here. So this lid, it's very light in weight, and it has tiny chambers inside, like tiny cavities inside, air-filled cavities in the Kiralab or cork cells. So that is what he observed, Robert Hooke. So you can highlight the name also here because it's important for the MCQ. Sometimes oral paper is structured essay also, they can ask questions from this. Robert Hooke. Write the name Robert Hooke. R capital, because R capital, Robert Hooke. Observed thin section of cork. I have highlighted cork under simple microscope made by him. Simple microscope means magnifying glass or hand lens. In other words, simple microscope has only one lens. So if you can write here, it's a convex lens actually. It's a convex lens. Sometimes we use that as magnifying glass also in daily life. So he observed numerous chambers, like in a beehive. Meeva there. So these numerous chambers, I'll put an arrow toward this. These numerous chambers, or numerous chambers means cavities, that of a beehive. So that's what they have shown here, the numerous chambers. Here you can see these numerous chambers, like in a beehive. So he named, it's a Greek word, he named those cavities or the numerous chambers as cells. So that's why I got here, Robert Hooke named them as cells. Therefore, who gave the term cell to the world? Robert Hooke. Who identified for the first time cells under this microscope? Robert Hooke. So he is the person who introduced the term cell to the world. Robert Hooke. Important for the oral paper structured essay and MCQs. I highlighted the blanks. They will not give this picture and image and ask who is that, and or else to draw this beehive shell, but they can give ask MCQs, so structural setup questions from this. After Robert Hooke, three other scientists, I have given them the names. One is Belgian botanist Schilden, and German zoologist and Russian, I think, scientist Radolf. I put 1, 2, 3. These three scientists, they produce a theory for the cell theory. We call them cell theory. So who introduced the term cell? Actually, this is the historical background of this the cells and its function, right? You don't get big questions from this page. History about biology, like the cells. But they can ask simple questions also from this in the structured essay or oral paper MCQs. So number 4, complete the blank. Cell theory. Cell theory. So cell theory was produced by these three scientists. Okay, what are the two things now? This is what you have to remember basically. Who introduced the term cell? Who observed for the first time the cells and using the simple microscope? Robert Hooke. And what is the specimen he used? Thin section of cork. What did he observe? Tiny cavities, so the chambers of the thin cork tissue, and he named them as cells. After introducing the cell to the world, three other scientists, Chilton, Chavon, and Rudolph. So no need to remember the spelling of these three names, so they will never ask. Write down the names of, because under new syllabus oral science papers, they don't ask recalling the previous memory. They don't check much. That is like 1990s, 2000 level papers. They mostly they check the previous memory, recalling the previous knowledge or the previous memory content. Now they don't ask those things. Mostly they ask analysis, evaluation, synthesis type questions in the paper, right, rather than just recalling the previous memory. Therefore, no need to remember the spelling of these three names. But if they give these names, you should know. They can give MCQ like this: which of the following scientists introduce cell theory? Then they can give these names under MCQs. Right? Multiple choice questions they can ask: who introduced cell theory, and they can give these names. That's why you have to remember this. And under cell theory, so it's a theory. If there's a theory, there must be some facts or informations about that. Now we are going to discuss about what are the main facts or what are the main points of the cell theory introduced by these three scientists. Okay, shall I erase this? Did you all finish copying down? Anyone still writing? Number 5, main facts of cell theory. This one you have to put a star because they can ask this in the exam. This one you have to remember, they mostly ask this in the paper. Main facts of cell theory. So the number 1, first one I have given, all the living organisms are made of one or more cell. All the living organisms are made of single cell or multiple cells. In other words, if it is made of one cell, unicellular. If it is more than one cell, we call them multicellular organisms. One or more cells, made of one or more cells. Complete the blank. One or more cells. Right. I'll highlight the screen. Right. One or more cells. Complete this. Number 2. This is the basic Okay. Sorry about that. Now, cell is the basic structural and functional unit of all the organisms. That means the structure of, I'll give one of the best example for this. Okay, first point I explained what? All the organisms are made of one cell. If it is one cell, we call them what? Unicellular. If they are made of one cell, unicellular. More than one cell, one or more cells. If more cells, then we call it multicellular. So we are multicellular. Plants are multicellular. Bacteria unicellular. Amoeba unicellular. Paramecium unicellular. Euglena unicellular. Chlamydomonas unicellular. So organisms can be unicellular or multicellular, but all the organisms are made of cell. Without cell, we don't call an organism. Right? Without cells, we don't call any structure in the world as organism. Now the other one, cell is the basic structure and the functional unit. This is also very important. The structure of your body depends on the structure of the cells. Functioning of your body also depends on the functioning of the cells. I'll give one of the best example. If you take any organ in your body, say lungs, functioning of your lungs depends on the cells of your lungs. Functioning of your brain depends on the functioning of your brain cells or the neurons or the nerve cells. Functioning of your heart depends on the heart tissues or the heart cells or the cardiac cells, heart cells. Imagine if someone get a brain tumor or brain cancer. So the cancer cells or lung cancer cells are not going to perform the same task of the lungs. Then what happened? The lungs fail to function. Lungs will fail to function as normal if the function of the cells go wrong. Because cancer cells are not going to perform the function of the lungs. They do their own other whatever uncontrollable division, rapid division. They are different from the normal cells of the lungs, the cancer cells. So therefore, if you take any unwanted cell in your body which is not going to function as normal cells, it's a life-threatening event. If it's life-threatening, so then we have to remove those cancer cells. If at least one cancer cell is left, it can again divide and cover or invade the entire area of that organ. Maybe the entire lungs get covered by cancer cells. Then you cannot survive. Lungs not going to work as normal. So this is what you have to understand. Now you can understand the potential of this second point. What? Cell is the basic structural unit as well as the functional unit. Example, actually when you are born, you started from the mother's womb from one cell. We also started from one cell. After combining the sperm and the egg, the zygote, what is the first form cell in the mother's womb? Zygote, yuktanu, single cell, not visible to our naked eye. What has happened now for about 10 months? During 10 months or during 40 weeks time pregnancy period, this zygote inside the mother's womb keeps on dividing, producing large number of cells. Now you can see new cells arise from pre-existing cells, from previous cells. New cells are produced from pre-existing cells by cell division. That means existing cells divide to produce new cells. You can't tell like cell is coming like magic from some other planet. So whatever the cell produce, it from the previous cell due to the cell division. So I'll write here pre-existing cell here. That cell is missing, cell, pre-existing cells. New cells arise from pre-existing cells by cell division. Cell division. When you, I don't know how many of you are aware of your average birth weight. When you are born, you can ask from your mother, what was your average birth weight? Whether it's 3.5 kilos or 2.5 kilos or 3.0 or whatever. So now how many kilos? Now when you are born, you had only less cells. When you are born, you had at the birth, you had 3.5 kilos means cells, and the bones also made of cells, bone cells and the muscles and all. But now you have what? Say imagine you have 35 kilos 10 times than that now. Or say you are 40 kilos now. What has happened during this time? What has happened? Number of cells has increased in your body. Average birth weight 3.5 kilos. Now you have 40 kilos. Now 40 kilos means what? You have collected more cells during this time. You have trillions of cells in your body now. So how do these cells produce? Now also what? You all are teenagers, age 13 to 19. Even during sleep, you think you are sleeping, but the body is not sleeping. The cells you are growing when you are during your sleep also you are growing. Cells in your body divide. New cells produce. So when you wake up in the morning, sometimes you have collected more cells than previous night. So sometimes slightly it's not visible to our naked eye, but slightly your weight also might have increased. So after taking the dinner, then what happened? Inside the body, the cells divide and you are growing even during your sleep. So therefore cells keep on dividing. Whether it's unicellular or multicellular, unicellular, example one bacteria, even this COVID and all the other infectious diseases, what happened? Only few microorganisms enter through our respiratory tract or the nasal cavity or through the various modes. They enter into our body. And within few minutes, sometimes they become millions inside our body. They rapidly divide. Whether they are multicellular, unicellular, new cells are produced from the division of the previous cells. What is this process called? Cell division. What is the other term used for the cell division? Multiplication of cells. Sila vibhajana, in Sinhala we call it Sila vibhajana. So therefore, these are the main facts of cell theory. What are the three main facts? So actually there are three main facts here. Number one, all the organisms are, there are three main facts. All the living organisms are made of one or more cell. This one you have to remember, I put 3 stars, right? Cell is the basic structural and functional unit. Functioning of the organism depends on the functioning of the cell. The structure of the organism depends on the structure of the cells. The new cells arise from pre-existing. If you take a cell, actually we are going to discuss how to observe these cells in the school laboratory. There's a small practical, I'll show the video clip also about that. If you take cells, inside the cell what is found? Organelles. Don't mix up this organs and organelles. Organs, heart, lungs, liver, kidney, brain. These called organelle. Look at this number 6. Organelle and organ, two different things. Organs means heart, lungs, liver, kidney, brain. Organelle means things inside the cell. If you only write here, organelles are found inside the cell. Organelle. Organelles are found inside the cell. Organelles are present. Organelles are present inside the cell. Present inside the cell. Right. So what are those organelles? These are subunits of the cell. So inside the cell it can't be empty. It contains nucleus. Nucleus. But that is the main control center. You can see in the next diagram the nucleus here. Nucleus present. And cells are surrounded by cell membrane, outermost covering if it is animal cell. And there are many other structures. That's what we are going to discuss next. I have given those structures. The structures found inside the cell called organelles. So look at here. Nucleus. That is the most important organelle inside the cell. Nucleus. Mitochondria. Mitochondria. That is the one. It's like actually cell also like a factory. Cell is making many things and giving out those products to the outside. And cell is taking the things from outside. It's like a factory. If there's a factory, there must be a raw material and the products are coming out from the factory. Some waste materials also coming out from the factory and the energy demand there. So like that, cell also requires some energy. That's why you are eating and breathing. You inhale oxygen to burn glucose, so the food that you have consumed in mitochondria. Mitochondria is like the powerhouse of the cell. That is the one which releases energy. Right? We are going to discuss, don't worry, one by one. I have some PowerPoint slide as well as some video clips about that. At the end of the lesson, I'll show them. Ribosomes, number 3. Golgi complex. Don't worry, we are going to discuss one by one in detail. So these are some of the structures found inside the cell. Golgi complex, ER means endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. You are familiar with this side in most probably chloroplast. Chloroplast present in plant cells, and inside the chloroplast you get chlorophyll and vacuole. These are some of the, what are these? Organelles of the cell. What are these? Organelles found. Some of them found in the animal cells, some of them found in the plant cells, some of them found in both. Example, chloroplast only in plant cell. So this vacuole and chloroplast mostly you get in the plant cell, not in the animal cell. And the others are present in both plant cell and animal cell. Plant also live in. Plants also live in. Plants also made of cells. So when you are eating food, when you are eating any food, or when you are mango, or you are eating cells of the plant. Any food item contains cells of the plant, and among those cells the food also stored. Right. So what is going here? Organelles. Organelles are considered as structural and functional subunit of the cell. The small structures present within the cell to perform different function known as organelles. That means they are small structures within the cell and perform a different function. That means they have different, not the same function. Nucleus, one function. Function of the nucleus different from mitochondria. Mitochondria is going to do that task until the death of the cell. Not going to change that task. Example, your heart until your death pumps blood. So it's not going to change the task in the middle. Therefore, you can't take the cells from your heart and put for the brain the transplant or something to fill the gap, right, due to injury. Due to injury, you can't take because they don't match. They all originated from one cell. We started from one cell in the mother's womb, zygote. Now they are specialized, partition. They have a specific role. So until the death, then they are specialized for that function. So therefore now, not to memorize the content, you have to understand. You have to explore this. Then only it's make interesting. Otherwise, you are just memorizing this text, targeting the exam to repeat the same thing as it is. But on the new syllabus, you are not getting questions like that. So anyway, you will get this Saturday. Last Saturday, I started the paper class, grade 10 paper class. So when I have already started the MCQs of the Western Prize papers 2019 now in that paper class. So then you can get an idea what type of questions you are getting from these lessons in the exam, and how do they test this in the exam, this knowledge. Right, number 7. Before that, okay, number 7, that is the practical. How to observe plant cells. Now, plant cells and animal cells through the light microscope. Right? I'll show the video clip also about that. This is how plant cell, you can see in the exam, if they give a line diagram, you should be able to highlight this word, everyone. Plant cell has cell wall, this thick wall. Animal cell, no such cell wall, only the cell membrane. That's very, very important. One of the main difference, there's a thick wall around the cell in plant cell, but in animal cell, right hand side diagram, only the cell membrane. Cells are surrounded by cell membrane. Here, a cell membrane also there. Cell membrane and cell wall both available in plant cell. And the other most important, this dark colored one is nucleus. Is already labeled here, nucleus. And here also nucleus present. What is common to both is nucleus present in both. Cytoplasm present in both. Cytoplasm means what? Free area. The free area of the cell called cytoplasm. Cytoplasm present in both. Nucleus present in both. Vacuole not in both. Vacuole also there's a difference. Vacuole present only in plant cell. Vacuole only in plant cell. We are going to discuss one by one. Don't worry. Vacuole separately, cell wall separately, cell membrane separately. We are going to discuss. Therefore, in the exam, if they give a line diagram like this, you should know what it is. So if they give cell wall, then it's a plant cell. That's how you can distinguish plant cell from the animal cell with the cell wall. And the other one is, in the animal cell, nucleus is at the center, but here the nucleus is pushed to the corner, peripheral. Nucleus is pushed to the corner, like not. You can write here nucleus at the center of the cell, center of the cell mostly. in the plant animal cell. But this one, the nucleus is pushed to the corner. We call it peripheral. Peripheral, or the nucleus is not at the center, because most of the space of the cell occupied by vacuole. Vacuole filled with many fluid like substances like mainly water, pigments, storage of various substances in the vacuole. So this is how you observe them under light microscope. But there are many other structures. Some of the structures you can't see under light microscope. You have to observe the cell under electron microscope. Under light microscope, some organelles are not visible. Therefore, to observe it more clearly with higher magnification, we need to use electron microscope. Actually, microscope come from physics. It's an invention of physics actually. Without the microscope, there's no development in biology also. Remember that. Now we have very advanced microscope. Even we can see viruses and even these nanoparticles, nanoscale material also we can see now. Scanning thoroughly in electron microscope, scanning electron microscope, atomic force microscope, very advanced. Now in Sri Lanka we don't have most of the advanced ones, maybe one or two in the country. So those microscope we can even visualize atoms and molecules even, not only the cell. So these two diagrams bit important. If they give this, you should know which one is plant cell, which one is animal cell. You should be able to label the nucleus, cytoplasm and the cell membrane. That's enough. Nucleus, cytoplasm and cell membrane when it is seen under light microscope. Then next one, typical cell. This is also very important. Typical cell, once in the oral paper 2018 and 19 they asked this, what is a typical cell? Typical cell, they ask MCQ in the oral paper. If you construct a cell by including all the organelles as a constructed cell, that is a man-made one for a model or something, I will show that textbook. In the textbook they have given the typical cell like this. Look at the screen. You can see the textbook screen now. This is a typical cell. Can you see the screen? Please raise the hand those who can see the screen. Right, okay, good. Now this is the textbook, the typical cell given. Why it is called a typical cell? You can see many things included. This is a plant cell because there's a cell wall, and the other one they have given the animal cell. You can see this is a typical cell. You can see the heading also, figure 6.6, typical cell. Why it is called typical cell? It is a constructed man-made cell by including all the possible organelles in it. All the possible organelles in the animal cell included, but it doesn't mean if you take a red blood cells, no nucleus. If you take your blood contain red blood cells, no nucleus. But normal animal cells, nucleus present. There are some exceptions. Sometimes there are exceptions. Okay. So therefore, typical cell means it is a constructed cell by including all the organelles inside. You can see here nucleus, ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, mitochondria. They all included in it. So it's a constructed cell. That's very important to understand. Constructed cell with all the organelles in it. Right. Let's move back to the theory again. So complete the blank here. A cell constructed by including all the organelles. All the organelles is known as a typical cell. This is also very important. They can ask, so what are the two most important things you have to remember? Cell theory, you have to remember the main facts. And typical cell, very important. These are the areas where you can get questions. These are the areas where you can get questions. Cells prepared by including all the organelles. Constructed, or you can write prepared. Sometimes you have the model of the cell in your school laboratory. Sometimes they display the model of a cell. But it doesn't mean like, all the cells contain all these organelles in it. Now, I am going to show a small video clip about how to observe the cells cheek cells under the light microscope. I'll erase this now. Did I finish copying down? Okay, before this, next one we are going to start this is with the practical actually. These specimens that can be used to observe animal cells in the laboratory. Page number 4 top, Right? That's what I'm going to discuss next. I have given the structure of the plant cell and the animal cell also here, page number 2. Okay, we'll do this also quickly, and after that I'll show the video clip. Right. Any volunteer now? You can see. Okay, we'll start from the top. Outermost covering here. Right. This is an animal cell. Structure the animal cell under light microscope, electron microscope. Cell membrane. Cell membrane will be the outermost covering of the cell. Yes, any volunteers who can give me the cell membrane? What out of this which structure act as cell membrane? Yes, Bhatika.
Letter E.
Very good. Capital E.
E.
Yeah, very good. Capital E. That is cell membrane. Complete the blanks. Those who have got the printout. Who can tell me the cytoplasm here? Which structure act as cytoplasm here? Any volunteers? Mohammed, what is the cytoplasm? Cytoplasm is free area of the cell.
M.
Very good. Yeah. Correct. Capital M. Complete the blanks. Cytoplasm is capital M. Nuclear envelope. That means at the center of the cell, I'll highlight this blue. Nucleus. This is the nucleus. So nucleus surrounded by nuclear envelope. That is like the membrane of the nucleus, in other words. So this is the nucleus. So this nucleus surrounded by nuclear envelope. Yes, who can tell me what is the nuclear envelope out of this? Any volunteers? Nuclear envelope? Bhatika?
Letter B.
B actually, that is nucleus sap actually. It's contained inside the nucleus sap. That is C. So nuclear envelope will be C here. Inside the nucleus you get nucleus sap, that is B, capital B. Capital B. And there's a tiny dot like thing inside the nucleus, that is called nucleolus. Capital A will be nucleolus. So actually all these three together called nucleus. All these three together called nucleus. So therefore nucleus consists of what? Nuclear envelope, nucleus sap and nucleolus. Please write it. The next one, RER. What is RER? Rough endoplasmic reticulum. That is, there's a network like structure around the nucleus. Like a network like structure around the nucleus, that is called rough endoplasmic reticulum. That is capital I here. Capital I. And there are some dots attached to this. We call them ribosomes. Capital H here. Capital H, ribosomes. Right. The next one, free ribosomes also. There are free dots in the cytoplasm. I think that one is not labeled here. Free ribosomes in the cytoplasm. We have to put an arrow. I think there's no arrow they have given here. Cytoplasm. Yeah. So I'll put free ribosomes. I'll label this one separately. We can skip this one because it's not labeled here. SCR, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, that is capital F here. This one we'll keep. I'll label this separately. I'll put an arrow and label separately. Lysosomes, that is capital J. Mitochondria, that is capital G. Capital G. And this centriole present only in the animal cell, that is given by capital L here. L. Next one, Golgi body or Golgi complex, that is given by capital K. And small vacuole also given, that is capital D. So free ribosomes, I'll put some dots here and you can label them separately. So I'll put some dots here. that is free ribosomes. I'll put a separate arrowhead for that because otherwise free ribosomes in the cytoplasm is not shown here, right? Free ribosomes. Free ribosomes in the cytoplasm. So I'll write here, we'll write here free ribosomes. Free ribosomes in the cytoplasm. Free ribosomes in the cytoplasm. Right. If you only can write that as capital N here, I'll write N. N is not there. Yeah. Okay. Right. So what is this? This is actually a typical cell, right? This is a typical cell. I'll again underline this word: typical cell, typical animal cell under electron microscopic information. Actually, you under light microscope you will not be able to see all these structures. So you can see out of this the most important one, the nucleus. Nucleus control all the activity. So later we are going to discuss the function of each organelle separately, how they looks. Right. Then anyone still copying down? Shall I read this? Don't worry, we are going to discuss one by one in detail. Huh? This is just to identify everything in the cell. Right. I'll erase this. And now let's see the animal cell, plant cell. This is the animal cell. Then let's see the plant cell. Plant cell also contain certain, now is already labeled some of this here. It's given in your textbook also. Simple A, right? What? Nucleus, nuclear, envelope, nucleolus, and one more thing you can label here. There are tiny structures, hair-like things inside the This is called chromatin here. Can you please put an arrow and label here? This tiny hair-like structure is called chromatin or chromosomes, chromatin. So all these together known as what? Nucleus. Nucleus. And this is C will be mitochondria. Mitochondria common to both. Plant cell also mitochondria present, animal cell also mitochondria present. Nucleus also present in both plant cell and animal cell. This one, right? Number this B, simple B. This is D will be cell wall. Plant cell has cell wall. Cell wall. Not in animal cell. Plant cell outermost one is called cell wall. So this is cell membrane or plasma membrane. And this is called vacuole. Vacuole. Vacuole consists of nucleus, cell membrane, mitochondria, cell wall, vacuole. So out of this I'll put a right tick here. These ones present only in the cell wall, only in the plant cell. Vacuole only in the plant cell. And there's one more thing called chloroplast. Chloroplast also present only in the, there's a small correction here. Mitochondria is already labeled. This should be chloroplast. Sorry about that. This mitochondria is already there. This should be chloroplast. Sorry about that. Chloroplast. Please make the correction. This C must be chloroplast because mitochondria is there. I put a tick here. Mitochondria, and mostly in the exam the students mix up this because even here you can see this very close structure. So the structurally you can't distinguish easily. Some students get confused with these two, the mitochondria and chloroplast. So C will be chloroplast, not mitochondria, chloroplast. That also present only in the plant cell. Chloroplast, so I put a right tick for these three. They are present only in the, I'll highlight them with a different color, then it's easy for you. I'll highlight them green. Chloroplast only in the plant cell, cell wall only in the plant cell, vacuole only in the plant cell. Other structures present in both plant cell as well as animal cell. So in the exam, they will never ask you to draw this entire diagram. Never, never. Will they ever ask you to draw this entire diagram alone? No. They can give this diagram and ask labeling. They can give this diagram and ask labeling some of the parts, not everything. And they can ask the comparison between this and the animal cell. Which organelles common to both plant cell and animal cell? Which structures found only in the animal cell? And which organelles found only in the plant cell? That's how you get the questions in the exam. Otherwise, they will never ask you to draw this entire diagram and label. And this is a typical cell. Why it is a typical cell? It is a constructed, prepared one by us, including all the organelles in it. Including all the organelles in it. Right. Then next one, we'll complete this table. Comparison between the plant cell and animal cell. So remember these ribosomes or the other structures, ribosomes. You can see ribosomes are freely available. If you want, you can make it free ribosomes. This free area called, actually, even though you label like this, it is like if you take a water basin and if you put some rigiform pieces and they float, organelles also like that. Even though we label like this, they don't stay at the same place. It's like a soup or like jelly-like medium. This cytoplasm is a jelly-like medium. The organelles are, I will show the video clip after this. So they are moving, like they don't stay at rest. They float in the jelly-like medium. So these organelles, that's why we call it cell sap. So there are free ribosomes also here. What is called free ribosomes? Free ribosomes, they are found in the cytoplasm, free ribosomes. And rough endoplasmic reticulum, that is within brackets, right? RER. What is the short method for rough endoplasmic reticulum? RER. With the why it is called rough? With ribosomes. Can you please highlight here? There are tiny dots attached to that. Rough endoplasmic reticulum, also known as in short form RER. R for rough, A for endoplasmic, R for reticulum, RER. So put an arrow to this and right, with ribosomes. With ribosomes, rough. Without ribosomes, we call it SCR or smooth endoplasmic reticulum. I'll label that also. Right here, put an arrow to this right. Rough means what? With ribosomes. With ribosomes. Rough means with ribosomes. Ribosomes attached to that. Without ribosomes, we call it SCR. With ribosomes. We are going to discuss what are ribosomes and what is the function and all. Don't worry. Then I will label SCR. Please put an arrow separately and I'll this one label, there's a one here. Can you see this structure here? That is called SCR. Put an arrow separately and put to this one right. That is SCR. That is called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. SER. SCR means what? Smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So that one you can write without ribosomes. That is with ribosomes. This is without ribosomes. Without ribosomes. Remember O-level paper, structured essay, compulsory questions they can ask from this, because every year O-level paper is structured essay, question number 2, compulsory question from biology. Mostly they ask from the grade 10 work. So this is right, without ribosomes attached to that, we call it SCR. With ribosomes, we call it RER. What is the difference between SCR and RER? Smooth endoplasmic reticulum without ribosomes, and rough endoplasmic reticulum with ribosomes. And the other most, the location also you can see the RER or rough endoplasmic reticulum around the nucleus. You can write here, that also you can put an arrow and write RER mostly around the nucleus. Around the nucleus you find it. Nucleus surrounded by this, around nucleus. But SCR away from the nucleus, like it's towards the corner of the cell. And this entire thing is filled with various substances. If you take a beetroot and all, carrot, so these pigments are beetroot, that carrot, that pigment, colored pigments is stored inside this water, minerals, various nutrients, waste materials also stored in this vacuole. Therefore, the plant cell, most space occupied by the vacuole in the plant cell. And but in the animal cell, more space, the center you will get the nucleus. Now here the nucleus is pushed to the corner. Most of the space at the center of the cell occupied by the vacuole here. Vacuole. In single we call it Richtaka. The membrane of the vacuole called tonoplast. Can you all see here? This is also very important. This tonoplast will be the membrane of the vacuole. What is tonoplast? Membrane of the vacuole. Vacuole membrane is membrane of the vacuole. Membrane of vacuole called tonoplast. And vacuole is non-living content inside. And who release energy? Mitochondria. Who control all these cellular activities? Nucleus. Nucleus contain chromatin or chromosomes, genetic material. Nucleus contain what? Storage of what? Genetic material like DNA, RNA or chromosomes. All this you get inside the nucleus. And plant cell, there's a cell wall. The three I have highlighted this green. Those three are unique to plant cell, not in the animal cell. Animal cell, vacuole absent. Plant cell, vacuole present. Chloroplast present in the plant cell, absent in animal cell. Cell wall present in the plant cell, absent in animal cell. So this all three I put the green right tick. So they are present only in the plant cell but not in the animal cell. That's what I have given next table. Comparison between the plant cell and the animal cell. Okay. So out of them I have given double membrane organs also. I'll erase this. Anyone still copy now? Shall I erase this now? And shall we move to the table? We'll complete the table now. The comparison between the two cells. Differences and similarities you should know between the plant cell and the animal cell. Okay. Major structural differences between these two. Look at the screen. I can see cell wall, plant cell wall is present. I'll put a right tick if you want to get right here inwards. Right, cell wall is present. This one cell wall is absent. Chloroplast, in the plant cell chloroplast present. Animal cell chloroplast absent. Large central vacuole present in plant cell. Large central vacuole absent in the animal cell. Centriole, this is very important. Centriole present in animal cell but absent in the plant cell. These are the differences. So what are the differences? Cell wall, chloroplast, vacuole present in the plant cell, absent in animal cell. Therefore, you should know how to compare the organelles present in these two. And the other structures common to both. If you write here mitochondria, nucleus, Golgi complex, ER, common to both. If you can put a stand right. Mitochondria, the nucleus, mitochondria, nucleus, then Golgi complex, Golgi body, then ER, and then ribosomes, cytoplasm, and ER means there are two types, RER and rough ER both. But mitochondria, nucleus, Golgi complex, ER, ribosome, cytoplasm, then cell membrane. Cell membrane common to both. And cell membrane common to both. Are present in both. present in both plant cell as well as animal cell. And animal cell. If you want to write that separately. So the other structures common to both. What are the other structures common to both? Mitochondria common to both. Nucleus common to both. Golgi complex common to both. Endoplasmic reticulum common to both. Ribosomes common to both. Cytoplasm common to both. Cell membrane common to both. But these three, cell wall, chloroplast, vacuole, centriole, not common to both, found only in one. Right? In the table I have got 4 organelles or the structures. They are present only in one, not in both. So therefore you should know the organelles common to both and organelles found only in one. And who are they? Which organelles and in which one they are present. Okay, done. Shall I erase this? Anyone still copying down? When you are done, please lower your hand. Or you have any question to ask? Right. Shall I? You can take a screenshot even. You can request the recording even. Yeah. You have many other options available. Right. Then next one. Okay. Comparison between the plant cell and animal cell. Right. Now before that, I'll show you this summary. There's a small video clip about how to observe cheek cells under the light microscope. I'll show the video clip about these organelles. Wait. Organelles.
Essential question we're trying to answer today is, what is an organelle? Well, basically an organelle is like a tiny organ inside of a body, except for this time it's inside of a cell. Each organelle has a specific task that it's responsible for and a role that it plays. The term organelle actually translates to tiny organ from Italian. Now, a cell membrane isn't technically an organelle, but it's a really
Okay, can you all see the screen? Okay, I'll because the sound is not clear, I'll explain. So cell membrane. Cell membrane control what materials can move in and out. That means if you take a plant cell or animal cell, the outermost covering cell membrane, it controls what materials can move and out. That means control the entry and exit of materials between the cell and its environment. That is the role of cell membrane. You can check the next table also, it's there, right? That means everything cannot enter to the cell. Example, a virus or bacteria, the germs cannot attack anyway the way they want the cell. So cell is going to decide who is going to enter. Like it's like the door of your house. It's like the window or the door of your house, your gate. You don't open the gate for everyone that is coming in, right? So you select the people that you want to come in and you open only for them. The cell membrane also like that. It selects what is going to enter the cell. So certain things are completely blocked by the cell membrane. If they enter, what happens? It can damage the cell, right? Or can cause infection even, right? There may be germs or pathogens, microorganisms. Next one, I'll erase the screen. Okay, so this is the outermost covering of any cell membrane. Sometimes we call it plasma membrane. Next one. You can see, look at the screen, nucleus. Now nucleus is the control center of cell. That is actually CPU. Like if you take the computer, there's a CPU, central processing unit. So it contains DNA. What is DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA. That is the genetic material. So what is DNA? DNA contains genes. So nucleus contains chromosomes. Okay, I'll write here, nucleus contains what? Chromosomes. Chromosomes contain what? DNA. DNA contain what? Genes. So nucleus contain, if you want to write that separately in your writing book, everyone, nucleus contain chromosomes. Chromosomes contain what? DNA. DNA contain what? Genes. DNA contain genes. Contain genes. So this is very important to understand. So therefore the nucleus contain what? Genetic material. Contain what? Genetic information. Nucleus contain what? Genetic information. So all the cellular activities. So actually this, how many chromosomes do we have? Humans, we have chromosomes, we have 46 chromosomes. Humans contain how many chromosomes? 46 chromosomes. How many chromosomes do we get? You get from your mother 23 chromosomes, the other 23 you get from your father. How do you get 46 chromosomes? 23 from the mother and the 23 from the father. So that's how you get 46. So all these 46 chromosomes inside the nucleus contain all the vital genes or your genome. Can you see the nuclear envelope here? Nuclear envelope is outermost covering. Nuclear envelope contain nuclear pores. Why nuclear pore? That is to exchange the materials between the nucleus and its surrounding. What is this nucleolus? Actually nucleolus, if you only can put an arrow and write, nucleolus produce ribosomes. Please if you only can take a screenshot even this nucleolus produces ribosomes. Nucleolus produces ribosomes. Ribosomes are produced by nucleolus, and those ribosomes coming out from these nuclear pores, and they get attached to the, if you take here, they get attached to this, and then we call it what? Rough endoplasmic reticulum, like that. I have not given that here. Around the nucleus there's a network like structure. We call them rough endoplasmic reticulum. Why it is called rough? When the ribosomes attach to that, we call it. So those ribosomes come out from this and get attached to the ER. So then we call it what? RERO, rough endoplasmic reticulum. RER, or rough endoplasmic reticulum. So these dots are called ribosomes attached to ER. What is it called? Ribosomes. Ribosomes attached to ER. Ribosomes attached to ER. Then we call it RERO, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Actually, if you take a cell from your, anywhere from your body, if you take a living cell, that any living cell contain a nucleus. Any living cell contain these 46 chromosomes. Right? What is the difference between chromosomes and chromatin? When it is coiled, we call it chromosome. Uncoiled one called chromatin. Uncoiled one called chromatin. Can you make a small sketch of? Can you please draw this and in your writing book? I'll give 2-3 minutes. Make a small sketch. Nucleus. Everyone should know bit in detail. Label the things found around the nucleus and everything. Can you? I'll take 2 minutes and in your writing book, can you draw it and label with a pencil? No need to color. And write nucleus contain chromosome, chromosome contain DNA, and DNA contain genes. That order also write, please. Please raise the hand, those who are still writing. You have to make a rough sketch of this diagram and in your writing book and label the things found inside the nucleus. So nucleus consists of what? Outermost cell, nuclear membrane, or what is the other term used for the nuclear envelope? Okay, so you can write the list of the things present in the nucleus. If you want to write 1 2 3 4 here, number 1, right? Outermost, you have, I put number 1, nuclear envelope. After that you have what? Nuclear pores there on the envelope, nuclear pores. After that, inside the nucleus you get what? Number 3, nucleolus there. Number 4, chromosomes there. And one more thing is not labeled here. We call it the nuclear sap. This free area called nuclear sap. So this free area called nuclear sap. Nuclear sap. It's like a jelly-like medium. So I'll put that one, number 5. So those are the things. So if you take animal cell or plant cell, there's a nucleus in the cell. Without nucleus, it is considered as a dead cell. Actually, to become a living cell, nucleus is a must. Without nucleus, normally we call it a dead cell. Can you all please write where there are some exceptions? Very rarely you get living cells without nucleus, right? One example, red blood cells. Can you please write, put a and write? Red blood cells live in but nucleus absent. Please put a and write in your writing book. Red blood cells, below this diagram you can write red blood cells. What is RBC? RBC means red blood cells, or we call them erythrocytes. Red blood cells we call it RBC. Live in but no nucleus. RBC or red blood cells live in but no nucleus. Please write it. Red blood cells are live in but no nucleus. But no nucleus. Very rarely you get living cells without nucleus. This is one exception. Please write. Red blood cells live in but no nucleus. Live in but no nucleus. Right, then shall I erase this now? Did you all finish copying on universal writing? Done, right? I'll erase. But nucleus I took more time because that is the control center of the cell. That is the CPU, the main control center. It controls all the activities of the cell. Then this one you can see cytoplasm. What is cytoplasm? Jelly-like substance that holds everything together. Please note down these things in your writing book, because additional points or the important points you should better copy down. What is cytoplasm? The jelly-like substance that holds everything together. So cytoplasm can contain contain all the organelles. Organelles are embedded in cytoplasm. Organelles are embedded in cytoplasm. ඔකුඩින් දාන්න කියද්දි කරනවා දැන් කරන්න එපා කියන්නේ අය කියද්දි කරන්න Right, sorry. Now organelles are embedded in cytoplasm. Sorry about that. Now jelly-like substance that holds everything together inside the cell. Then next one, I'll erase the screen. Right. Then next one. Mitochondria. Actually, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. What is mitochondria? Powerhouse of the cell. This is the site where the energy is produced in the cell. So it's a double membrane organelle. It supply energy. So there are two membranes. It's a double membrane organelle. If you want, you can make a rough sketch. So if you want, you can draw a line diagram like this. So this is mitochondria. So it's a double membrane. So you can see outer membrane and then inner membrane. Inner membrane and outer membrane. So there are finger-like structures called cristae. These finger-like structures called cristae. There's a finger-like structures projected inward. So this finger-like structure called cristae here. That increase surface area. Finger-like structures of mitochondria called cristae. That increases surface area. Cristae here, cristae. Finger-like structures called cristae, and they increases the surface area. Increases the surface area. And it actually when you breathe, finally who utilize oxygen that you breathe, inhale? Mitochondria. Oxygen that you inhale goes to mitochondria. Glucose that you, after eating, the glucose that is absorbed to your blood, utilized by who? Mitochondria. That means you eat for mitochondria and you breathe for mitochondria, because oxygen and glucose combine to give you energy. Mitochondria release energy by combining glucose and oxygen. That release energy. So that is why we call this powerhouse of the cell, or that is the site of the production of energy of the cell, mitochondria. So in the exam, they can give these diagrams separately, not inside the cell. They can give these structures or the diagram separately and ask questions what it is and write down the main function. The next one, Golgi complex. So it's like storage of packing and for the protein in a cell. That means shipping center for the protein in a cell. So this is called Golgi Operator. Sometimes we call it Golgi complex. So it's like a cabbage. So these are ribosomes. You can see here ribosomes. Ribosomes actually membraneless. Live on or with rough ER. You can see here when ribosomes attach to ER, we call it rough endoplasmic reticulum. What is the rough endoplasmic reticulum? Because ribosomes, the main function, production of protein. What is the main function of ribosomes? Protein production. Protein production. Synthesis of protein. What is the main function of ribosomes? Synthesis of protein. It makes protein here. Not because of ER, because of ribosomes. Why RER? What is the short method we use for the rough endoplasmic reticulum? We call it RER. RER. Why it is rough? Because of ribosomes. Rough due to ribosomes. Due to ribosomes attach. Due to ribosomes attach, we call this RER. Without ribosomes, we call it SCR. So these dots are ribosomes. Who produce ribosomes? Nucleolus. Who produce ribosomes? Nucleolus. So therefore these ribosomes produce protein, and those proteins are transported throughout the cell by this. Shall I this? No need to, you can take a screenshot if you want. No need to done everything because I have given them in the tute also, theory tute. Next one. So what are these lysosomes? Actually lysosomes, they contain enzymes. Enzymes that they digest when any unwanted cell enter, when any unwanted or foreign molecule enter the cell, that is digested or destroyed by lysosomes. Lysosomes contain enzymes stored in it. So that contains for cellular digestion or dead cells, dead structures, unwanted substances are digested or destroyed by this. It's like self-cleaning process. What is chloroplast? Chloroplast present only in plant cell and algae. You can write here present only in plant cells and algae. Only in plant cells and algae. Right? And that contain the pigment chlorophyll. Why chloroplast green? Because of chlorophyll pigment. Chlorophyll pigment can absorb energy of the sun and use that energy for photosynthesis. If they in the exam, if they ask what is the energy transformation of chloroplast, you can write what? Light energy into chemical energy. What is the energy transformation? Light energy is converted into chemical energy by chloroplast. Light energy is converted into chemical energy of food because chloroplast produce food, chemical energy. Light energy is converted into chemical energy. Then that also there are two membranes, outer membrane and inner membrane. Outer membrane and inner membrane. So it contains the chlorophyll pigment. That's why the plant leaves are green, because of this pigment chlorophyll. Why your blood is red? Because of hemoglobin pigment. And if you take your skin is dark because of melanin pigment. Your skin is dark because of melanin pigment. And if you take different animals, or if you take carotenoid carrot, xanthophyll, the beetroot, the color come from the pigment in it. The next one. So those are the major organelles. Now we'll move back to the theory tute and finish the table. Okay. Complete the table now. Nucleus present in both. If it is put a right tick, plant cell also it's present, animal cell also it's present. And complete the blank here. Controls all the cellular activities. Controls all the activities of the cell. All the life activities of the cell. All the life activities or cellular activities. We can write all the cellular activities also accepted. And next one, and the other most important, the nucleus contain what? Chromosomes and DNA. Highlight that also. Nucleus contain chromosomes and DNA, and they are called genetic material. And the largest organelle in the cell is nucleus. That is also very important. Largest organelle is nucleus. These are the things you should know about the nucleus, and that is double membrane organelle surrounded by two membrane. It is surrounded by two membrane, or else you can write just double membrane organelle. Nucleus is a double membrane organelle. Yeah, Mohammed, you have a question to ask? Any doubts?
Yes, sir. In plant cell, isn't vacuole the largest organism?
Yeah, that is by considering here animal cell. Yeah, correct. What you asked. So if you take the plant cell, that is the vacuole occupy more space than the animal nucleus. But if you take animal cell, yes, then it's nucleus. If you only can make it animal cell, then no problem here. Mitochondria produces energy, or what is that is a biological form of energy. We call it ATP, adenosine triphosphate. What is ATP? A for adenosine, T for tri, P for phosphate. ATP is the biological form of energy. This ATP is produced by respiration. That means mitochondria requires oxygen and glucose and gives us energy. Mitochondria absorb glucose and oxygen and giving us what? Energy. That energy is also used to keep your body warm, and that energy is used for your metabolic activities, for your growth. So that is called internal respiration. Most of the people, most of us think respiration is breathing in and out. No, beyond this, there's a respiration inside the cell. Inside the cell also, who respire? Mitochondria. Which organelle? Mitochondria. Why mitochondria need oxygen? To burn glucose. Why glucose burn? To give you energy. Why energy? For your growth, for your metabolic activities, as well as to keep your body warm. Dead body is cold. Why dead body is cold? No respiration. Right? After the death of the person, the body become cold. Why? No respiration. No respiration means no heat production. When you are doing exercise, you breathe fast, you take more oxygen, your body gets warm up because more heat is generated by respiration. Therefore, respiration not only for energy, respiration helps to keep your body warm. We are warm blooded, we have fixed body temperature 37 degrees Celsius. Therefore, respiration also helps to keep our body warm, or else to regulate our body temperature. That's why in rainy days or in cold climate, you can eat more food demand increase, because more food to keep the body warm, more energy required, you will have to burn more calories. So it's very interesting. And right here to maintain body temperature constant, so we can write, if you only write, mammals and birds are warm blooded. We are warm blooded. We have fixed body temperature. Either you are in air conditioned room or Nuvareli, or during winter any other country, your body temperature must be 37, even though outside temperature is low. Warm blooded means fixed body temperature. Who are warm blooded? Mammals and birds. Reptiles, amphibians and all, they are cold blooded. Cold blooded means body temperature changes with the environmental temperature. Mammals and birds are warm blooded. Mammals and birds are warm blooded because they have fixed body temperature irrespective of their living environment. Next one, ER. ER also present. Okay, mitochondria present in both. ER present in both. Transportation of proteins or transportation of substances, proteins and other substances. So synthesis of protein, that is by ER, endoplasmic reticulum, within the cell. That is by RER. You have to be very careful. This is by RER, that is by SCR. SCR produce cholesterol, or steroids means lipids. The steroid means lipid. Though you example, hormones are steroids. Golgi complex also present in both. So that one, production of secretions, various and storage and digest foreign material. Cell membrane also present in both. It controls. I told you, cell membrane is like the gate or the door of your house. It controls who is coming in and who is going out. Therefore, it is the outermost covering of the animal cell, and plant cell also there's a cell membrane. So it controls the entry and exit of metals between the cell and its environment. Between the cell and its environment. Basically, you should know whether it's present in both the animal cell and plant cell or only in one. and you should know the main function. So that is what you should remember. When they give a line diagram, you should know what it is in the exam. It's structured as a paper. If they give a line diagram, I'll discuss in the Saturday night paper class. Many questions under this, all past papers and the provincial paper questions. So if they give the line diagram, you should know what it is. And you should know whether it's present in the plant cell or animal cell or in both. And next one, you should know whether it's single membrane bound or double membrane bound. And you should know the main function, that's it. And the content, especially nucleus, you should know bit in detail. Nucleolus, chromatin, chromosomes, like that. Then next one, number 6, cell wall. Cell wall is non-living and made of cellulose. Can you remember grade 10 first chapter, polysaccharide? Cell wall is made of cellulose. If you want to write within bracket, it's a polysaccharide. Under carbohydrate, monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharide is a polysaccharide. It's made of cellulose. Cell wall that gives protection to the cell, and it gives the shape to the cell, rigidity to the cell, protection to the cell, outermost covering. It's non-living components. Cell wall is made of non-living things. And I told you the plant cell, as you, Muhammad, I think you asked a question also, the large vacuole in the plant cell. So that one is storage of various substances. What is stored in the plants, in the vacuole? Various substances like water stored, salt stored in it, pigments, and water balancing, support, provides color to the cell by the pigments. So these are the major functions of the large vacuole. Number 8, chloroplasts, right, produce food and release oxygen, produce food or glucose and release O2 by photosynthesis. Chloroplasts contain green pigment chlorophyll. Right here contains green pigment chlorophyll. And plant leaves are green because of chlorophyll pigments. Because of chlorophyll pigments. Produce, instead of food you can write glucose here. The ribosomes. Ribosomes are found in 2 locations. What? Freely in the cytoplasm or attached to ER. If you want to write it, ribosomes are found freely in the cytoplasm, or attached to ER. Attached to ER. Attached to ER means endoplasmic reticulum. Either ribosomes are found freely in the cytoplasm or attached to ER. So what are the main function of ribosomes? Synthesis of protein. Synthesis of protein. Actually, in your diet also you include protein, no? But some of the proteins are produced by the body itself. Example, all the enzymes are protein. Digestive enzymes, if you want to write here, all the digestive enzymes are protein. You are done under chapter 1. So therefore those enzymes are produced by the body itself. Example, your amylase enzyme produced by salivary gland, that's a protein. Amylase enzyme, salivary amylase, or sometimes we call it tyline, it's a protein. After eating meals, you are not drinking a glass of enzyme to digest food. Enzymes are produced by the body itself. We are not drinking a glass of enzyme after meals. Enzymes are protein. They are produced by the body itself. Example, growth hormone produced by the cells of your body. We don't drink glass of growth hormone for your growth. Growth hormone you can take the injection or like a hormone you can get separately, but naturally it is produced by the pituitary of your body, the gland attached to your brain, pituitary gland. Growth hormone. So it's a protein. Growth hormone also protein. So some I have given some ribosomes attached to ER and the other side the cytoplasm freely I have given that, no need to write it. So when it is attached to ER, what is this called? RER. What is that called? RER. Attached to ER, we call it RER. Attached to ER called RER. If it is not attached, we call it SCR. SCR means smooth. RER means rough. With ribosomes, rough. Without ribosomes, smooth. Remember, oral science paper structured is a compulsory questions. They can ask this second question in structured is a oral science paper from this lesson, right? Cells and the structure of the cell. Chapter 6, grade 10. Right. Then next one, summary. Shall I erase this? Anyone still copying down? So today I discuss what? Plant cell, animal cell, comparison, and what is present inside each, and what is the main function of each, and separately I use the PowerPoint slide also and the video also, right? And there's one more video about the practical. If I have time today, I will show that. And next one, double membrane organelles, right? Right, complete. This is very important for the questions. Double membrane organelles, you can write there are three organelles. Nucleus, double membrane. Double membrane we are surrounded by two membranes. Double membrane means they are surrounded by two membranes. That's if you don't know, write it, otherwise no need. Double membrane means they are surrounded by two membranes. What are the double membrane organelles? Nucleus, mitochondria, and chloroplast. These are two double membrane organelles inside the cell. Actually, chloroplast found only in the plant cell. These two are present in both plant cell and animal cell. Then organelles not visible to the light microscope. These two, the blue one I'll discuss next week because I had to explain a bit. Today I think about 5 minutes left. These two I'll explain next week. The others I'll complete now. This one I'll explain next week. And this one without the membrane. That one we can write, the yellow ones only I'll complete now. That is ribosomes. Without membrane you can write the answer ribosomes. Ribosomes. Ribosomes no membrane. Then organelles present in both plant cell and animal cell. You can write here if you want, other than these three, except nucleus, mitochondria, chloroplasts and ribosomes, all the others are surrounded by only one membrane. All the other organelles are surrounded by one membrane, single membrane. Other organelles means except nucleus, mitochondria, chloroplast, ribosome. Other organelles are surrounded by how many membrane? One membrane, single membrane. Surrounded by one membrane. You can write the example except these four, right? Except these four, all the others surrounded by one membrane. Right. That one additional thing. Then these things present in both, cell membrane present in both. Cytoplasm present in both, nucleus present in both, ribosomes present in both, ER present in both. Ribosomes I have given twice, so you can erase one. And mitochondria present in both. Golgi body also present in both. So common to both. So that's the summary here. So again, if I summarize, now we have done today. Again, if I summarize, first I told who introduced the term cell to the world, Robert Hooke. And before that I told who are unicellular, who are multicellular. And I gave examples for both unicellular and multicellular organisms. Unicellular, amoeba, paramecium, euglena, Chlamydomonas, they are unicellular, single cell. And they are microorganisms. And multicellular organisms visible to our naked eye. Not all, most of the multicellular organisms visible. Some multicellular organisms also act as microorganisms. because not visible to our naked eye. And then I told cell theory, three scientists. What are the three main facts of cell theory? All the organisms are made of one or more cell. Cell is the basic structural unit. Cell is the basic functional unit. And all the new cells are produced from the pre-existing cells due to the cell division. Three main facts of cell theory you should know. After that we discuss about the plant cell and animal cell and what are organelles inside the cell, and then I told about typical cell also. So that is what we discussed today. Typical cell means a constructed cell by including all the organelles inside the cell. So the next one is practical, actually observing cheek cells under the light microscope. There are two practicals. I have given the procedure and all. This is also very important. I'll discuss that next day with the video clip. I have a small practical video clip also for this. So this is also an experiment you are supposed to do in the school laboratory, and you can get practical based questions. You get 25% in the structured essay. In the oral paper, 25% come from practicals in the structured essay. Therefore, these practicals bit important. They can ask the steps involved, as well as they can give the steps in the wrong order and ask to arrange them in the correct order, or they can give some steps and ask what is missing, or like different ways they can ask questions in the on the practicals, right? So that one I'll discuss next day. So up to plant cell and animal cell we discussed today, and don't worry anyway, next week most probably we can complete this lesson in one more class, and next Monday next Thursday I am going to complete this lesson, right? Next day within one more class we can finish it, and then you will be discussing all the questions under this lesson in the Saturday night paper class. So those who have already joined, no problem. Otherwise, please send a request to join the grade 10 paper class. It's very important since you all are getting the term test from the first 6 lessons, first term test the school, right? Okay, then it's almost 8 o'clock. It's almost 9 o'clock, and we'll stop for today. And next week also I'm doing the class from 7 to 9, and paper class also from 7 to 9 Saturday. So until then, stay safe and God bless you.